Hello wonderful humans, and welcome back. I'm here for another video about The Shadow Rising. I'm super enjoying this book, really struggling to put the book down at the end of each chapter, but I still am, and I'm sticking to it. So if you're new here, I read a chapter, I write one page only of notes about my initial reactions in this book. It's not a plot synopsis. I don't hit everything, I just hit the points that I pay attention to. And that's really what I'm doing. I'm sharing them with you. So make sure you, if you want, join the conversation, because I really do enjoy the chats down in the comment, and respond if there's anything that you noticed in these chapters that I may not have, or if you noticed the same things as me, I'd be interested. Or if you didn't notice things and I've enlightened you to something new, that would be great. Let me know. But today I'm going to be reading chapters 16 through to 23, so 8 chapters, and I'll get started today with chapter 16, leave takings. So here I'm mildly frustrated. We still don't know Rand or Moraine's plans. But I still enjoyed the interactions between Fael and Perrin and Lan and Nynaeve. I thought this was a really super cute, for different reasons, really a great chapter. I suppose that frustration though that I feel is what's making it so hard to put the book down, because I just want to keep reading to find out exactly what's happening. It would be worse, a lot worse, if all my questions were answered immediately with no suspense whatsoever, no fun at all. So I'm really glad that Robert Jordan is keeping me in the dark about these things, but it doesn't mean that I'm not frustrated that I don't know what's going on. It's a good way to be. It keeps me wanting to read. So Rand has set up the possibility of Isle going with Perrin, and there's that flicker of surprise as Perrin realizes that Rand does care about home. I feel that Perrin thought that he was a little bit alone in caring about his home, although I do wonder if Nynaeve and Egwene knew what they knew, maybe they would be more worried too. Anyway, it's a good plan. It's not like he could send Terrans. They can't be trusted at all. So I'm happy Gaul, at least, if no one else, at least Gaul will be going with Perrin and Fael. And I think that that's a good mix. I really don't like seeing Loial being manipulated the way that Fael manipulated him. I see he needs to outgrow some of his naivety a little bit, but I don't want him to change too much. I got a little bit annoyed with Fael, and I think I was supposed to, but I got annoyed with Fael in this scene for the way that she manipulated Loial and put him in a really awkward position. I also don't like how Fael is going about dealing with her jealousy just in general, and that's fine. I think I'm getting frustrated with her, particularly because I'm reading this chapter more so from Perrin's point of view, and that's what it's designed to be. I'm designed to be frustrated with Fael, so that also makes sense. It also makes sense though if my suspicions about her father or about her family background comes true. There's this real sense of entitlement in how she's behaving, which it's made uglier just because of her jealousy and wanting to be in control. So her being either royal or noble makes a lot of sense in this situation. Worried Lan is great. I loved this interaction between Nynaeve and Lan. Nynaeve not wanting him to break his vow to Moraine shows how well she knows him, even if Robert Jordan has skipped over most of their relationship building. I still do think he's not so good. I think other people may agree with me on that. He's not so good at developing these relationships. We're kind of just told about them. Anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if Lan has gone to find the next best thing to a water, so that someone will go along with Elaine and Nynaeve so that they're not on their own. Maybe Ruach. that might be a possibility, or some small contingent of Isle, same as for Perrin. I just think that Lan is leaving this chapter, going looking for someone to go with them so that they're not on their own, which is good. Chapter 17, Deceptions. So Moraine and Tom are playing the game together. Moraine came out the winner this time. Imagine what they could achieve together. The master manipulation in favour of Rand they could come up with. I just think that they would make a really great team, and I hope that they realise that, and Moraine lets go of some of her arrogance, I suppose, that only she can do these things. Looks like Tom's off to Tanchico with Elaine and Nynaeve, which is good. I'd feel better about that if I thought the girls would actually listen to him, though. He is incredibly valuable for them. They can definitely learn a lot if they are open to it. I guess one of her questions that Moraine asked in the Terangrial was linked to Tom surviving Tanchico in some way. It wouldn't have been, is Tom going to survive this? But something along those lines, and she was told that Tom needed to go with them, which opens up a whole lot of possibilities about what did Moraine actually ask, and are we going to find out? Because I'd like to know exactly what she asked and then what she was told, because that would be very, very interesting. It's really nice to return to Min. It's been a while, almost, well, 16 chapters since we saw Min last. Although it sounds like Gallard is getting sucked into the White Cloaks, which I'm not surprised by, I suppose. It suits him in theory. But just the mention of Eamon Valda has given me chills based on the TV series. If you haven't watched that, Eamon Valda makes an appearance in that. And I don't know him from the books yet, but I know him from the TV series. And if he's anything the same, that gives me chills. I don't know. I'm looking forward to meeting this new character. How frustrating for everyone that they have to wait so long for news, like Swan waiting so long for news from Moraine and from Tia in general. Although I don't think the events unfold in a perfectly linear manner, so the scene that we're seeing between Swan and Min, I don't know that it's happening at the same time or similar time as Moraine and Tom. It's hard to sort of work out exactly what the timelines are, and that's okay. It's not super relevant. So they may not have been waiting for news for as long as I think they have. It looks like a Leda, probably. It didn't say who it was, but I'm guessing it's a Leda who has tracked down the accepted. I think she was an accepted or a novice, whoever she was, the young girl who was sent off to a farm because she knew who, or she'd seen Min. It looks like she is continuing her plans to take down Swan. The question is, does she have all the information she needs already to challenge her? That is partially connected to the unreliable nature of the timeline and breeding order, because if this was happening all at the same time, then she wouldn't have the information yet, but in time to challenge her. But this could have happened prior to the event, so it's a challenge to work that one out. Unless it wasn't a later at all, which is a possibility, and someone else is investigating Min at the same time, which I could understand that it definitely could be someone else. Later is known to Gawain though, so depending on his feelings about her from their time back home, he may tell her all that he knows about Elaine's whereabouts or about Min or anyone. It just depends on whether he trusts her or not. It's so frustrating because if Swan took Min's advice and told Gawain or told Gawain where Elaine was, he might be more inclined to keep things to himself to protect her. Or it could go the other way. He may tell Elaida because he wants to protect her. As it is, I expect he'll tell Elaida his suspicions that Swan is lying about Elaine, and it just makes me so frustrated. These things could be solved if they... I know why they're not telling people things. I can't trust people, but just, it's so frustrating. Anyway, chapter 18, Into the Ways. And what is Rand up to? He's definitely doing something in the stone. So this chapter is in Perrin's point of view. We don't know what Rand's up to. But I don't think he realizes how much he is sucking Perrin and Mat in with his tavernness just in general. And I liked how Perrin was talking about that sucking in. He can feel it, and that's very interesting because Mat's talked about it in a different way, about being tugged and pulled in a different way. So they're all feeling it. Again, if they just sat down and said, what does it mean? How does it feel to be Tavern to you? Maybe they'd get the three Tavern would have a better understanding. Anyway, we are seeing how stubborn Fail and Perrin can be. Very, very stubborn, both of them. I do wonder who will cave first and what it will bring, and what will bring that on, what will make them cave. Fail has absolutely no suspicion about Perrin's wolfness, which is not overly surprising, I guess. She's ignoring the fact that there's more to Perrin than what she's assumed. I think she's decided some things about him, put him in a box, and that's what she's thinking about him. She's not realizing how much she doesn't know. I'm very interested to see what happens when it all becomes clearer for her. Perrin already knows, or at least is dreaming, that the wolves will make an appearance in the Two Rivers, which makes a lot of sense, especially given, like it's also connecting to so far, he's mostly been around cities and places where wolves aren't, when Fail has been around. So I can see why she's missed that, and that's going to be a really big surprise that Perrin's maybe not wanting her to see as well. So he might be trying to protect her, not only from the White Cloaks, but from himself a little bit there as well. I also like that it's implied that Loyal thinks she's a bit dense. She's just being blind to what is right in front of her. Every time Perrin, the things that she described, Perrin not lighting a candle, and Perrin seeing things, either Loyal, this is me thinking aloud, either Loyal is calling her dense because she's not piecing these things together, and then maybe working out that he has better eyesight, and what does that mean, the eyes, linking it to that. Or Perrin is a little bit dense because Fail has worked that out, and she's just trying to get Perrin to tell her. I don't know, it could go either way, and I'll find that out at some point. I wonder if he's read anything about wolfmen at all, Loyal, more so, because that would be very interesting if he knows something more and hasn't offered it yet because no one's asked. I'd like to know. I love the glimpses of Isle culture that we're getting just through the course of it. I like how it's just being dropped in. I wonder which of the Eamon's fielders will be the first to make a water oath, because I feel that we've found out about it in this chapter for a reason, and I will not be surprised if one of them, if not all of them, ends up making a water oath at some point. I assume one will at some point in the books anyway. I like that Perrin appears to have a friend in Gaul. He really needs a friend. I want them to all have friends, especially if Perrin is going to have to deal with Fail's game playing. She has to be from the nobility, right? She has to be. She just has that feeling about her. So I've made my mind up about that. The saying to anger the Ogier and pull the mountains down on your head on page 292 in my edition here. I like this. I thought this was fantastic. But I also really like how Robert Jordan has included real things that happen in our world, like the corruption of names and sayings, like this one, that Perrin's sort of maybe thinking that this has changed over the years. He's really laying the groundwork for all that has been forgotten. Like, it's little things like this that make it really clear how things can be forgotten through the years. And one of the other changes, for example, that was mentioned earlier in the book, that they've forgotten what a dragon is. They don't even know on Rand's banner, the Dragon Reborn's banner, that is a dragon. So that's just a really cool little piece of world building that I really like how Robert Jordan has done that. So kudos to you. Well done. Chapter 19, The Wave Dancer. So I hadn't expected to meet the sea folk this book. I just thought we were going to learn more about the ale. I didn't think we were going to see the sea folk. So I'm really, really happy about that. I was half hoping for Captain Domin. I just thought that maybe he would make a reappearance, and was thinking maybe he would take the girls to Tanchico. But that's fun. I'm really happy that we get to see the sea folk. They are absolutely fascinating, and I can't wait to find out more about them, just like everything. This world is incredible. The different cultures and the different people in it. Oh, it's just fantastic. I love it. Another prophecy here, keeping a people away from the mainland. So like with the Isle, who were told that, they crossed over the waste, but not so much. They were kept separate. And now we've got the sea folk who are kept separate. And I wonder if that was to ensure they have specific skills, or their knowledge, or skills, or something that they have to offer doesn't become diluted by the mainland. So that is a strong possibility. There's got to be a reason why all these different cultures have prophecies that have made them act the way that they do. Maybe it was just convenient. Anyway, is Rand going to travel over the water at some point to deal with the Seanchan? I feel we may see the Seanchan reappear sooner than I would like. Where's Tom? I really thought we'd see Tom on the boat. Isn't he meant to be going with them? Or has something happened to the wave dancer that will prevent them leaving without him? So right at the end of the chapter, there's the big explosion and the boat rocks and stuff. So that's the end of the chapter. Or has something much worse happened that will prevent them going with the sea folk? And then maybe Captain Domin comes in there. I obviously do know what happens next. I really like the dynamic of Elaine and Nynaeve. I think it's really great seeing the two of them together without a Gwen in the mix as well. They are so opposite in so many ways, but not in the argumentative way that a Gwen and Nynaeve are. They've definitely got a lot that they can learn from each other, which I'm really excited to see. And then it raised the question, why did Moraine withhold some information about the sea folk and Aes Sedai dealings? To help them secure passage, maybe? If they knew, maybe they wouldn't have asked. Maybe she suspected it would be worse for them if they got caught lying. Maybe she thought that they would lie and hide their rings, and then they'd get accepted but found out on the way. I don't know. I'm not sure I'll get a clear answer to Moraine's reasons, but that's okay. I just assume that we won't know everything that Moraine knows. Anyway, I really like Joran and Coin. I think that's how I'm saying them. Anyway, Joran and Coin, the sisters, their formality and teamwork and obvious trusting in each other is just beautiful to watch. Elaine is right in thinking they can learn from these two if Nynaeve will try. And I think that's a big if there. If Nynaeve is able to, given they're on a boat and she does deal with boat sickness, maybe she won't be able to, but there's definitely a lot that the two of them can learn about working together as a team. So my other question I had at the end of this, how sick will Nynaeve get on this journey? Yeah, Nynaeve and boats, not a good mix. Chapter 20 is next. Winds rising. So it was just whatever Rand was doing. We don't know what he's doing yet. And Tom did make it. I could not stop laughing. Actually, this had me in fits, like hysteric fits of laughter. Maybe it was just my mood, but I was laughing so much when Julian Sandor says that Lan and Rand, but probably less Rand, that Lan sent him. I just thought this was hilarious. And Nynaeve wasn't that mad about it, so I thought that was a little bit surprising that Nynaeve wasn't more mad about this, but also not surprising. She's not going to find it easy to trust Tom, given Moraine sent him, but their shared distrust of Aes Sedai will help with that. honestly, he will be invaluable for her if she can just realize it. If she can realize what he can offer them, he will be fantastic. And they need to tell him what they're doing. They just need to. Or have they learned nothing from Sandor's situation in The Dragon Reborn and the fact that they got caught because he didn't know what he was doing? They just need to tell them. They can withhold some of it, but they just need to tell people. Tell people what's going on. Anyway, it's half suggesting here that Tom could be Elaine's father, but I don't think that's accurate. I don't think that's the case. I mean, it's a possibility, and maybe I'll be surprised by that, but I don't think so. It's more likely he simply grew fond of her and was kind of a father figure early on when she was a baby. Did Moiraine imply he was involved in Morgase's husband being caught before he could take the throne? A few implications there potentially, maybe. It'll be interesting what Elaine's reaction will be when she finds out who Tom is and that she does have a connection with him. And if she can, if she knows anything, maybe she's heard things about him, or maybe she remembers things once she pieces it all together and how that influences things, especially if she's heard of him from just her mother or people around the court talking about him. That could be interesting. And Joran can channel. I suspected that may be the case, and I didn't write about it in the last chapter, and I should have. Given her title of Windfinder, I thought that could be some connection to maybe some kind of magic. She'll teach Elaine something useful, which I think will be really great. And Elaine can do the same, I'm sure, for her, and then that's a whole other connection and a whole other ally ship kind of thing that we can see develop. 10 days is super fast for them to travel. And given Elaine has 2 projects, learn from Joran as much as she can and figure out Tom. A bit of game practice maybe in her figuring out of Tom. I think the time will go quite fast for her. And so Nynaeve, sick in bed yet? Seems like such a waste for her, a wasted opportunity. She has so much that she needs to learn, and maybe she could learn something from Joran as well. Both channeling is something she needs to learn, but also tact. She needs to learn a little bit more tact. At least she knows this. I thought this was really great that she could admit it to Elaine, that she knew what Elaine was going on about, and she almost admitted that she wasn't the best person to deal with these things all the time. And then, and just as a little, I almost can't read this because of how small I wrote it. This is the first time Nynaeve's been without pure focus on the Two Rivers folk, which I think is interesting as well, that she's gone off on her own without having to protect. She's taken Elaine in as one of her own as well, but she doesn't see Elaine as a child in the same way that she saw Gwen as a child. And I think that's going to be really interesting for Nynaeve to be without that side of responsibility. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that does for her as well. And I think it'll be interesting. Very, very interesting. Chapter 21, Into the Heart. And now we're hopefully going to start finding out what Rand's big plan is. When Rand's planning begins to come to light, he's learning. He's definitely learning a lot. He may be getting better at this political stuff than anyone else in his crew, the Two Rivers folk. He's definitely better at it than any of them. Still, he has a lot more to learn, especially without Tom being around. But he's done really quite well. I've been impressed with how he's managed to do things. It definitely makes Moiraine unhappy and uncomfortable, as she's not going to be able to manipulate him even a little bit, and she does not like that. And she was so keen to separate the Tavern from all other influences, even worrying about Lan's influence on Rand to a certain extent. She has no idea Perrin and Loial are gone, and now Gwen and Matt will stay close enough to have some partial potential influence on him. which she won't be happy about at all, because she really wanted to separate Gwen and Rand most of all, and Tom. So they're the three that she wanted to split up, I suppose, and Nynaeve as well. So she got that wish. And Ruark has influence too over Rand, that maybe she didn't realise how much he was relying on the Isle and building up a relationship in a different way there. She's losing control and she absolutely hates it. It's really great to see this from Moiraine's point of view. It had to be from her point of view, this chapter, because we needed to get some insight into how she reacted, and we wouldn't have got it from Egwene's point of view. But I'm super proud of Rand for learning and growing in what he can do, and that just being able to outmaneuver Moiraine and the nobility. He saw things thanks to Tom, but he saw things and found a way around it, which I was really quite impressed by. It was great getting Moiraine's perspective for this scene, just to watch how all her careful planning and manipulating that she'd been doing fell apart in an instant. It would not have had the same effect from anyone else's point of view, as I said already. I guess Rand's act of returning Callandor to the stone caused the earthquake type thing, experienced by both Perrin and Elaine. Unless that's still to come. I think that was it though. No, yeah, I wrote here, nope, just checked. Definitely what they felt. I went back and flipped through because I'm like, oh, is that what yeah, it was what I thought it was. I guess if he takes it with him, he learns to rely on it. And that's probably not a good thing either. He needs to be able to do these things without it. And then the sword, Callandor, it's not a sword. The sword that's not a sword. Enhances what he can already do. So if he relies on it, he doesn't need to grow as much, and he needs to grow in what he can do and then enhance that, not enhance what, yeah, you know what I mean. He needs to learn how to not rely on it. I wonder who will be the next to try and get it out of the stone, and if someone tries to get it out of the stone and deals with his trap that he laid, or whether someone gets it out and brings it to him, or I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out as well. Chapter 22, Out of the Stone. More insights into Isle culture. And as I said, I'm loving that. It's actually pretty generous that they only take 1/5 of what is in Tear. Not that they took that much, but it's actually a lot less than 1/5 in this case. But they could take everything from the defeated, but they don't leave them with no way of surviving. So it's somewhat honourable, and I actually am impressed by that. Moiraine may be on to Mat about why he's with them, or does she just look at him suspiciously all the time, according to Rand's point of view anyway. There's also a major and growing point of difference between Moiraine and Lan that we're noticing here. He agrees Perrin should have gone home, or that it wasn't the worst thing that could have happened anyway. And that Rand did the right thing staying behind as well, and helping his friend to leave. So Lan gave his silent approval for that, which I think is showing that there's a split happening there. Does Egwene suspect Mat of something, or were they just arguing as usual? Just in the, they went off and were talking, the two of them. Be interesting to see if Egwene, it was what that was about, but it might not have been anything as such. I hadn't realised Rand hadn't met Avienda yet. I like that she doesn't fall all over him, or even overly respect him. Definitely a chance for him to stay humble as far as she is concerned. Like, she will keep him humble. She will not treat him special in any way at this stage anyway. Moiraine's less in control than she wants, but Rand's struggling to stay ahead of her. He's doing well at the moment, but he's only one step ahead of her, not as far ahead as he would like. But that, yeah, I'm happy he's acknowledged to listen to her advice, but equally happy that he won't be a puppet. So he'll listen, but then he'll make his own mind up, which is a good thing. If he takes a few people on board like that, I think that would be quite good. I feel that if Moiraine got her way, if Moiraine was in control, she'd be messing up the pattern. She almost thinks that she knows better than the pattern. She thinks she's acting for the pattern, but I think she'd be messing it up if she got her way. Let the Tavern do what they're drawn to doing. I know that's not always going to be the case as such, but they need to do what they're drawn to do, not what she thinks that they should do. I really hope the portal stone works. I'm expecting Amos, the dreamer. Moraine is curious if she's accurate. Yeah, so Moraine is curious to know if the dreaming is accurate. I'm expecting Amos to be waiting near the portal at the other end for them. So that'll be good to see her in real life, not just in dreams. And chapter 23, the last chapter for today, Beyond the Stone. And this was jam-packed full of stuff that I wasn't expecting. So that was awesome. The portal stone worked, which is great. Although Rand did need a better Ungriel. He was a lot more tired than he thought he was, so it took a lot more energy than he realized. And if he just had something a little bit stronger, then maybe that wouldn't have been the case. Who knows? Rand telling Moraine to ask before healing him was a really great moment, and I thought, great moment for consent. I hope that they include something like that in the TV series, because that is spot on with what's like spot on for the political cultural world for now. So Robert Jordan was ahead of his time. She does not need to learn, she does need to learn these things, asking consent, that she's not in charge and can't just do what she wants. Lan most likely agrees, knowing more of Rand. It's not the way to gain his trust. It's also not the right way to behave, but he also knows that if Moraine wants to gain his trust, this is what I'm reading into it anyway, she needs to learn how to ask and not dictate. She needs to advise and not dictate, and ask, not just do. So she'll get there, maybe, I assume anyway. Gwen's feeling of self-importance are on full display in this chapter when the Wise One, particularly Amos, greeting Rand before they greet her. She thought that they were there for her. Amos had asked or told her to come, and they greet Rand first, and you can tell it takes her by surprise that it's not about her. And her being so fixated and demanding on learning immediately. She's so, this is why I'm here, this is why what you're doing here. Maybe the Wise Ones will teach her some humility, but on the other side, by teaching or trying to teach her humility, they might actually make it worse, her feeling of self-importance, because she might get stuck as she's being mistreated, or no one else is getting treated this way, why just me? She's visibly impatient, unlike Moraine, who is hiding it reasonably well, who knows they can gain much more knowledge from the Wise Ones with patience and by following their procedures and cultural practices. Mat and Rand going into Rhuidean together is very interesting. This was not something I expected at all. I should have, though. I should have put it together. Mat's been avoiding Rand pretty much since he found out about him being the Dragon Reborn. This will definitely be important one way or the other for their relationship, them going into Rhuidean together. Rhuidean? Yeah. Going in there together, I think, could make or break their relationship. It may not be, they may not get as close as they were growing up, but it will be a good thing for them if they can get through this together. I am really looking forward to finding out why Mat is there, what he is actually there for. And I'm starting to feel that maybe he is the one the Isle are looking for. Maybe he is the one that comes with the dawn, or whatever their prophecy was. Maybe it's Mat. I thought it's been said it could be Rand still. I don't think it's a Gwen though. I think initially I suspected that it might be her, but maybe it's Mat. Now, why did the men get to keep their clothes on and the women had to strip? I just don't understand that. Obviously different rituals, so and there's the connections between what Moraine and Avienda are going to do the similar kind of thing to what the women had to do to become accepted in the tower. So I can see the similarities there, but why did Rand and Matt get to keep their clothes? Don't know. I'm not surprised Avienda can access the source. That just didn't take me by surprise. It makes sense that she was drawn to the others and that she'd been seeking them out, because she obviously knew she had this ability and she was spending time with them. And I think that was partially because she was intrigued and partially because she was just drawn to them without realizing. But why is Moraine going there? That is so cool. I am so excited to find out what Moraine is doing in there. And she may get some big answers that could shake her up a little bit. Maybe it'll tell her to back off and stop trying to manipulate things. I don't know. Like, I just think this could be huge. It could be amazing. Hopefully we get to see what goes on for all 4 of them in Rhuidean. I'm really looking forward to finding out more about what this means. And will they all run into each other in the city or whatever it is? Because that's a little bit awkward. But you know, will they run into each other and have any kind of interaction in Rhuidean? Rhuidean? I need to look up how to pronounce it, so I'm really sorry. But they are my thoughts for this section of the book. I really struggled to put this one down, as I said, and I actually haven't read any more since then because I've been back at work. So I'm going to sit down and read some more. So if I don't get the next video out on Friday, I will have it out by the end of the weekend, because if I don't get the next 7 chapters read before Friday, I will be able to read them on Saturday. So anyway, let me know, is this, like, I think from what I can gather, that for some of you this was where the book started to take off for you as well. What was it about this part of the book, do you think? I think because we're starting to get answers, we're starting to see them moving forward, and they were standing still. Not really, but nothing was happening for a little while. No action. And now we're getting action. So I think that sort of tells me why I'm really getting into it. But what was it about you? What was it about the books for you that got you hooked at this stage? And how are you feeling about all the characters? In your first reading, if you can remember, how are you feeling about the characters at this point? Did you have any favourites? Or any favourite little interactions? Because I really have to say, I loved how much I laughed so much when we found out that Lan had organised for Sandor to join Nynaeve and Elaine. I just thought it was great. So were there any moments that really stand out for you in this part of the book? Let me know. Like the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and feel free to share this with anyone that you think might be interested. And I will be back at some point before Sunday, hopefully on Friday, but we'll see how that goes, and I will catch you again with my next video very, very soon. Okay, bye.